Jimmy Butler lost $260,000 when he and Naji Marshall choked each other a few weeks ago. That's a lot of money to me and you, but it's pocket change to Jimmy. He's got an unfathomable amount of money. Life wasn't always sweet to him though. He has one of the wildest stories in NBA history. Jimmy grew up in Texas with no father and a cunt for a mom. When he was a child, she looked at him and said, "I don't like the look of you. You gotta go." She was kicking him out at 13 years old. The worst part about it all was he had no other family to turn to. This forced him to become a couch surfing middle schooler, sleeping at different friends' houses and worrying about where his next meal would come from. This was a consistent part of his life, all the way up until he was a senior in high school. It was during his senior year that 17-year-old Jimmy finally got some good luck. He became friends with freshman Jordan Leslie and his many other siblings. The Leslies loved him, including their mom, and because he was still homeless, she agreed to take him in as their own. Without having to worry about where he was sleeping or what he was going to eat, Jimmy reached a whole new level on the court, averaging about 20 points and 9 rebounds during his senior year. He was his high school's best player, but didn't get noticed, receiving no offers to play at the next level. The NBA wasn't even a thought in his mind, so that didn't really devastate him. Despite this, he still wanted to continue playing basketball as well as go to college, so for his freshman year, he attended Tyler JUCO. Over the course of his freshman season there, he put up 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. Those were really solid stats, but it was his defense and desire to win that was most impressive. Jimmy was a tenacious defender who never stopped working on the court. Standing at 6'6" with amazing D, solid O, and unlimited hustle, a couple D1 schools decided to hit him up, including Marquette, a private Catholic college in Milwaukee. Jimmy liked Marquette, so one day at McDonald's, he decided to fax his letter of intent to play there. Although this was an amazing opportunity, his first year was complete hell. The main reason for this was he didn't realize what he was getting himself into. He didn't understand Milwaukee wasn't the same as Texas, but he soon found out it was very cold, he was alone, and his coach Buzz Williams was a dick. But Buzz wasn't a bully. He was just admittedly ruthless to Jimmy because he saw extreme potential that he needed him to realize he had. To Jimmy's credit though, he took all of Buzz's yelling on the chin. Yes sir, no sir, never crying or whining about anything. His tough skin and ability to learn from scrutiny caused him to explode in his junior year. He went from playing 20 minutes off the bench as a sophomore to starting all 34 games as a junior. This was thanks to his consistent, relentless effort on both ends of the floor. On defense, he was a hound, and he wasn't an incredible scorer, but he knew how to put the ball in the hoop, averaging a solid 15 points per game. Although he wasn't nearly the most talented offensive player, he led the entire NCAA in offensive rating. This was thanks to his unselfish approach to the game. He didn't turn the ball over much, he knew where to be, and he hit a good percentage of his shots. He helped Marquette make the tournament, but they ran into a small issue. That small issue was Isaiah Thomas. In the first round, he sent Jimmy and the Golden Eagles crying back to Milwaukee. One thing about Jimmy though is he's never been a fan of losing, and the early tournament exit only fueled him. Also, it was around this time that he finally realized he could make it to the NBA. This was because he saw former Marquette star Wesley Matthews make it as well as Lance Stevenson. He thought if Lance could get there, he sure as hell could. With his focus on making it to the NBA, there was nothing that could stop him. As a senior, his stats were pretty much the same as the year prior, but what changed was he was able to lead Marquette to a deep tournament run. Fun fact, in the second round of the Big East tournament, he went up against Joe Mazzulla, who played for West Virginia. Joe's a hell of a coach, but he was also a dog on the court, playing well against Marquette, but not well enough, losing 74-79. From there, Jimmy and Marquette continued their stellar regular season play, making it all the way to the Sweet 16. Where they would face off against Tyler Zeller and UNC. They ended up getting fucked, but despite this, Jimmy still impressed everyone with his leadership and stellar play. But he still wasn't projected to go very high in the draft. This was because nobody knew what his potential was going to be. He was an extremely hard worker and provided a Draymond Green-like impact, but nobody thought he was going to turn into the player he is today. Because of this, he fell all the way to the 30th pick, where the Bulls stole him. This was a blessing and a curse. Chicago was really good, so as a rookie, Jimmy's ass was stuck on the bench 99% of the time. Consistent with previous events in his life, he didn't let it get to his head, working his ass off day in and day out, which people started to notice. Carlos Boozer had extremely high praise for him, saying he would show up to practice before him. What makes that impressive is Boozer would show up as early as 2 hours before practice. One thing that has always stayed constant with Butler is the dog living inside him. His tremendous work ethic got him on the court a little bit, playing 8.5 minutes a night. It didn't make him a good scorer though. He averaged a measly 2.6 points per game, shooting 40% from the field and 18% from 3. Although he lacked a jump shot and most everything else scoring wise, when he was on the floor he was a huge plus to Chicago. The dude was third on the team in plus minus per 100 possessions. This was because he always gave it his all in the few minutes he was given, hustling for offensive rebounds, showing off his rock-solid D, and just overall displaying a relentless desire to be great. The Bulls dominated the regular season, finishing with 50 wins, but come playoff time, shit hit the fan. Derrick Rose tore his ACL in Game 1 of the first round. Because of this, Chicago got bounced. Jimmy appeared in just 4 minutes of that series, averaging 13.6 fouls per 100 possessions. His hard work would eventually pay off though. In his second season, he got a minutes increase to 26 a night. He also became a much better scorer, averaging 8.6 points, shooting 38% from 3. By the playoffs, his role got even bigger, playing 40 minutes a night. In those minutes, he left his blood, sweat, and tears on the floor, willing the Bulls past the Nets in the first round. That series went to 7 games, but Thibodeau played Jimmy all 48 minutes in Game 7, which paid off with a dub. The Heatles then walloped them in round 2, but JB impressed, playing amazing defense on MVP LeBron. From that point on, everybody knew the name Jimmy Butler. His efficiency scoring the ball fell off in year 3, but his defense finally earned him the recognition he deserved, being named to the all-defensive second team. The Bulls sucked though. D Rose got hurt right when he came back from his ACL injury, and he missed the entire season. Although injuries kept screwing them from behind, in the 2014-15 season things went really well. Jimmy made a huge leap, becoming one of the best slashers in the league, as well as greatly improving his jump shot. He was now a part of the 20 points per game club, and his defense continued to get even better. Just 3 years before, he was a role player known for his effort and hustle. Now he was an elite two-way star. He really put the league on notice in the first round of the playoffs. In true Tom Thibodeau fashion, Jimmy wasn't given much of a break, playing basically the entire game every game. It didn't matter though. He never got tired, averaging 25 points while shooting 40% from 3 and nabbing over 2 steals a game. He led them to a 4-2 series win over the Bucks, moving on to face off against the King yet again. What many people don't remember is Chicago put up a ridiculous fight in this series. They took a 2-1 series lead after D Rose nailed this ridiculous game winner. And in Game 4 they nearly won, which would have put them up 3-1, but the dumbass refs missed a technical on David Blatt. After D Rose hit a game-tying layup, Blatt called for a timeout, but they had none left. This should have resulted in a technical, but the refs were doing their best Helen Keller impression. It went uncalled and LeBron sunk a game winner, tying the series at 2 apiece. After Chicago got hoed in Game 4, they lost out and got sent home. The team became a complete dumpster fire after that. Jimmy continued his all-star level play, but the Bulls missed the playoffs in 2016, then got bounced in the first round in 2017. It was around this time when Butler started to be referred to as a locker room cancer. This was because he didn't hesitate to call out his teammates for not giving enough effort. It would take being traded to Minnesota, Philly, then finally the Miami Heat before people realized he wasn't the problem. He just wanted his teammates to work as hard as he did, but they couldn't take the pressure. Miami was known for their hustle grind set mentality, which was perfect for Jimmy. So far in 5 seasons with the Heat, he's established himself as one of the very best playoff performers of all time, accomplishing many insane feats, such as making the finals as an 8th seed last season and as a 5th seed in 2020. So far this year, he's been going off, averaging 22 points on near 50-40-90 efficiency. The Heat sit at just 6 in the East, but being a low seed has never been a problem for them. The playoffs are nearing, so we'll see if Jimmy and the Heat can destroy everyone's expectations yet again.